Hello everyone and welcome back to the BJ Footy Show, and we are here back in the studio with Aidan. Let's get on. We've got so much to cover. We've got some breaking news. We might show you a little bit of FIFA World Cup 2026. I can't wait. Let's get on the way. It's been a few weeks. Look, let's get on the way. Aidan, welcome to back in again.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ben. I was off having heart surgery the last 5 weeks.
Wow. Well, you're back. You feel very exciting. So we've got the AFL, obviously. We've got the South Australian National Football League. We are going to cover all that. We've got some great sharing knowledge of how we're going to share that. We might fit in some FIFA World Cup breaking news or updates. It's been quite a bit of that. And I think there was one more biggest news of the new Tasmanian Devils. It's the new AFL team. Stay tuned. Let's get on to the show. So we've done our intro. We are now driving into the South Australian National Football League. We're going to just drive into the women's and then the men's Hope Plus, and I went to one of the games, stay tuned, and I'll tell you right now, Aidan, it's quite a scared that this team is not playing finals football, and they prove it, right? So, the SNFLW Host Plus, we are on the 11th round, and we got coming into the 12th round, we will have exactly 3 games. 3 games, finals football is round the corner for this competition. South Glenelg Tigers. Well, it was a nice day for South Adelaide. 13-10-88 defeated 2-2-14. Pretty good accuracy. Well done to South Adelaide. Next one, we had a draw. We had the same score, 7-8 apiece, 50 points. Sturt, Delaroos, and the Woodsville West Torrens Eagles. Next game, we had the West Adelaide Bloods and North Adelaide, both scoring 3-4-22 to 6-2-38. Well done. That's quite good. We are seeing better accuracy. We get accuracy better, it's going to be more fun. So North Adelaide was to win there, and well, I think Nord just stood up. I went to this game. Yes, that's right. I'm just saying right now, Nord and Centrals went head-to-head. Nord took a 7-11-53 to 3-5-23. 30 points to the Nord. Redlegs, great day out in the office overall. So, it's time to share the men's Hope Plus sample. So we got 5 games equals 10 teams. 8 teams equals 4 games. That's for the women's league. That means just 1 extra game overall. So, I'm going to start with, I know it's a bit interesting to see West Adelaide have improved, and I have that in the mix, but they took an LA Cruise reserve. Adelaide won it, and the final score, well, it was back kicking for the LA Cruise, but it was 12-11-83 to 13-16-94. Next game, straightly into Saturday night football. Do we like this idea? Really, for sample football, different, but Port Adelaide taking the victory here by 24 points, so over the Woodsville West Torrens travelling just around the corner. The final score here is 58-95, 95-71. Let's give it as that. We'll share the best one, I think, it's the last bit of one race. Traffic, South Adelaide were pushing the Glenelg Tigers, the runners-up. The South Adelaide Handers, 7-5-47. 17-8-108. Very, very, very always expectations. The next game is Sturt Delaroos and North Adelaide Roosters. Now, I've been watching this all afternoon. North Adelaide, look, they came out. They really took on their own opponents, and this is what's really good. These teams are finding ways to Sturt and as well Norwood and Glenelg. They've been challenging. This is what I love about local football, but those Delaroos took a really good victory here. Not great in points. I love points and goals. Let's give it that. Final score here, 12 goals. 15-87 to 10 goals, 12-72. Final game to wrap it up. Well, I'm just really shocked at 13-point victory. This is the highest scoring, the most closest game for the round. Really, I can put it together. Besides the first game between West Adelaide and the Adelaide Cruise reserves, this was very well accuracy. Nor taking the win, and how they win it, I tell you right now, it was all Centrals in the first half, getting 7 goals to 4. Now, so a miracle happened. It was Norwood taking this quarter 6 goals 5 to 1 goal 2, and they thought Centrals are going to come back and finish it strong, but unfortunately Norwood hit 4 goals 3 to 5 goals 1. So Centrals won the quarter in the last quarter. They came fine back in the game, but I tell you right now, like Norwood just came out and they were winning at 3/4 time and then won the game by 13 points, 14, 13, 97, 13, 6, 84. So that's 13 points. I'll take it on overall. All right, game I stand for. Hope you enjoy it. Let's get into our next rollout for our show here on the BJ Show. Footy Show. Right, we've got breaking news. The best part, just recently, it's coming soon, but we have got some AFL breaking news, the new Tasmanian Devils. Aidan's going to explain that. Over to you, Aidan.
Thank you very much, Ben. Yes, Tasmania Devils have announced their AFL head coach for their inaugural season after months of speculation. They have elected former Port Adelaide coach Ken Hinkley to take that role. Now, for me, I think Ken Hinkley is absolutely the right selection when you look at the other candidates. Now, there were names in the mix like John Longmire and Nathan Buckley. Now, those coaches, well, very good coaches, are coaches who you'd bring in when it's time for the club to step up and win a premiership. Ken Hinkley, on the other hand, in this early stage, in this developing stage, has what it takes for the club's opening couple of years, because his job's not going to be there for him to win a premiership unless, he signs on long term and things go well. His job is to get the list sorted out in the next 18 months and get the standards and the club culture set down at Macquarie Point in Tasmania. Now, I know a lot of people probably don't really think this is a great move, but it's one of those. Ken Hinkley is a divisive character in himself. I love him. I mean, I just think that any coach who comes out there and just shows personality is, doing more than they need to do. And, for a new team, especially a team that's going to have a lot of young players coming through their academy system, having that guy who's going to be not just all about football business is a really good choice by Tasmania, and that's why I believe that they have picked Ken Hinkley as their coach, because he has that ability to work with young players, as we've seen at Port Adelaide. So well done to Ken Hinkley on the appointment at Tasmania.
We're now heading into the AFL. Yes, thank you, Aidan, for the congratulations to Ken Hinkley. I think you'll be great. Bringing that culture is really important. But now we go into the AFL. What we are here for the 2026 AFL 26 season, round 19. If I got that correct, it is. That's for the reviews and how we all thought with Aidan and I. So first up, so the money, Geelong Cats. Yes, they were hosting the St Kilda Saints. Now it's been how many years? 27. I'm 34. Just recent. That's 7 years of a big difference. I was only 7 the bit that St Kilda has. Yeah, that's it. Lost down at Canadian Park. So, if it's interesting, this is going to be interesting. The most breaking records. You go down to Geelong. You go down to the west of Sydney. That's the SCG. Off the stadium. Or maybe the old Oval in Perth. Now, it's interesting when St Kilda can't win a game and they can't win for 27 years. We say turn it up, and that's what it's all about. So, if you know the show called Bounce, in Australia, there's a bit of a fun crew. They talk about the games and stuff, and there's a moment in the show called Turning Up. A legend called Angel Gaze. Mate, you're great doing the AFL lad as well. You've got a bit of character. So, this game was all Geelong. Look, St Kilda had some really, really good efforts, but you go down to Geelong, you got to bring your best game. You can't expect Geelong. There, no Jeremy Cameron. Absolute no. Guess what? Geelong can still win. So they've got a future key forward. When Jeremy Cameron put those boots up, or hang them boots up, it's going to be interesting. So, how this quarter by quarter brought it into this. Geelong started well. St Kilda struggled. Second half, better half. This is good. There's an 8 goals 4 to 8 goals 4. That's interesting if I got this correct, and I'm really blind with that. But it proves that there was more goals, 16 goals for half, and overall the margin was only 27 points. That's interesting calculations. 27 points, 27 years. Figure the math. I just worked that out on the AFL app. But anyway, the interesting, sharing that the stacks really, really smooth and silk. So, it's pretty even. The disposals are pretty even overall. The hit-outs, Geelong got a bit better with the clearances. Overall, St Kilda got better in that point. Their marking got smashed overall, Then the tackling. There's a lot of teams like Adelaide, for example, struggle against really good teams, and I'll share the stats when the time comes. But 81 tackles is very good. Now, you tackle about 40 tackles, you're not a very good tackling team. I've seen it this year. And 52 is still pretty good. I gotta say, yeah. So, finishing up, as I normally do my players a game, I pick 3 players and then my best. So, starting with St Kilda or Geelong. Let's do Geelong first. We got some Bailey Smith moments there, pretty good effort. We got Humphreys, or Lawson Humphreys. He was in the mix. But it's going to be pretty hard to pass some other players in this team. And I really have no idea where's mine. There's not a lot of high tackling teams at Geelong, but James Whoopley, former Hawthorn Hawk player, and, he's also a midfielder. I thought he was a defender, but sometimes I don't really pay attention. But he is my player of the game. 24 disposals, 2 marks, 6 tackles, 1 goal, 102 AFL fantasy, but include 5 scores involvements with a goal assist, a 524 metres gain, 21 centre bounce attendance, 7 clearances, and 3 of them were stoppages and 4 in the centre. So it proves to me that an 8 inside 50. So it's a pretty good game from James Whoopley. Now, I really do need to drive into my next team with St Kilda. I don't really do too much of that, but Ryan Marshall has been proved to be a pretty, work hard. We got Darcy Wilson, he's in the mix, I really think. And I'm going to give it let's give it to Max Hall as well. But Ron Marshall, 33 disposals from 4 marks, 2 tackles, 2 goals, 139 AFL fantasy, 10 score involvements, 1 goal assist. So he definitely got the 368 metres gained, 12 clearances from 85 ruck contests. From that 30 hit-outs, he included 8 stoppages, 4 of them were centre, 23 centre bounce attenders. Now that is for 6 inside 50s. For a ruckman like that, he's like a midfielder, Aidan. And that's why St Kilda shouldn't even let him go, because he let him go, he'll go to a better club. Maybe should go to a team we're going to be celebrating later in the show. But that's my game. That's my thoughts. Well done to Ron Marshall, St Kilda. James Whoopley from the Mighty Cats. Where's the sexy win from the Geelong Cats? I'm going to let Aidan just share his thoughts right now.
All right, Geelong and St Kilda. Thank you, Ben. So, Geelong absolutely on top of this one the whole way. It was pretty much a one-way show until Geelong just took their foot off the gas halfway into the last quarter. Saints get a couple back. The lead was up over 40 at one stage. They trim it back to 27. Final scores here, 102 to 75. Geelong, as you said, Ben, winners by 27 points. Now, for Geelong, it's what we expect from them. We don't expect anything less from Geelong. It's business as business is for the Cats. Geelong, Kardinia Park is a very difficult place to play for opposition teams. The last time, as you said, Ben, the last time St Kilda won a game down there, the year started with a 1. That's how long it's been for between drinks down at Geelong for St Kilda Football Club in the AFL. Now, St Kilda, this is the time where a club has to make a decision on what it wants to become, because they have weeks where they look like they're one of the best teams in the competition, and then they have weeks where they just completely lose their head straight away afterwards, and there's no middle ground for St Kilda. You are either looking like a top 5 team, or we're looking like a bottom 5 team. And that's why you're going to end up 13th against St Kilda. Mark my words on that one. You're not going to be in the wild card if you keep up this flip-flop behaviour. The only flip-flop should be on your feet at St Kilda Beach. You are a football club, not a shoe. You just got to play. You just got to win these games. It's not that hard. Geelong's not that scary. It's just a tiny little town in Victoria. You can't go down there. Like, you can't even say that it's an interstate game. You can just go on a bus. And it's been over 27 years since you went down there. Now, it is what it is, but the continuing story of St Kilda being genuinely average just continues, and it adds another chapter every week, and I love watching it happen. I'm sorry, St Kilda fans, but your club is so bad that it's actually funny. My player of the game in this one, we're going to do the Cats first, and then we're going to do the Saints. So from Geelong, Bailey Smith, Brian Myers, and James Warple. From St Kilda, Rowan Marshall, Darcy Wilson, and Hugo Garcia.
We're now back in action for Friday night standalone. This is Destiny, the standalone, and I really love. We got the Swans and the Crows going head to head. There's been some hot headers, and I'm going to explain that in a moment. But this victory, it's wet football. Two top teams going head to head. The best pressure teams, second versus fifth. It's Sydney the real deal. We don't know. It's Adelaide back with their culture. They are having fun out there. Sydney are also playing good football, having fun. And it's the only way you're going to win in front of a very interesting crowd at the SCG. When a mate of mine went to this game, boy, it was cold. Of course, it's winter football. But guess what? It was a very solid win for the Crows. They were hungry. Sydney were hungry. Adelaide came out on the block after Sydney kicked the first 2 goals. This is a way that Adelaide have struggled to start slow. And I'm very proud for this win. Not a lot of people tip Adelaide. It was mostly Sydney. Yes, Sydney's home ground, Sydney home game, Sydney win. Didn't happen that way. That's okay. I've got friends, I've got family going for this club, and I have very much respect for Sydney. But Adelaide wanted them more. This is a big win on the road, and these are the wins you got to take. You know, it's very difficult, like in Geelong, you said, Aidan, in your foot, but Sydney is not an easy visit. Now, you go to Perth, maybe Fremantle, step West Coast. 50-50, you're going to have West Coast a hard team, and I really loved that happen, and I was very not happy. I was happy with the win, and win is a win, but not overall, and then West Coast pressure came. Back to the Sydney Crows game. My goodness, I'm off topic right here. So, 71-87, all very much, well accuracy, like both teams pretty in the wet. We had some great, like Isaac Rankin plays well. Like, we got the big McAndrew, and I think he's from Sydney, but play that rocky level of football. He can just grab that ball. He's got a good size. So, it was very scrubby in the first quarter, but 6 goals to 3. Then it was that 4 goals, 1, 2, 2 goals, 2. Or 2 straight, I can actually say. So, it was a very scrubby game, but Adelaide king goals, and they took their opportunities, and they took it. Then it was the third quarter, it was 2 goals, 3-2, 3-3. Then it was the fourth quarter, that it was all Riley Filford finally grabs the footy. Just couldn't make it in that second quarter. Really matters. Just had that control and just slipped out his hand. Like, he had more in the air. He's preferred his hands up here, not down here. It's more harder. So, and then 1 goal, 3 to 5 goals, 1. So look at that big difference you can put that together. If it was vice versa for Sydney should for 1. But I love close games. It was the best one. I'm going to share the best, not the disposals. Adelaide were winning 50-50 there, making it all nice and smooth hit-outs. Sydney won hit-outs. Adelaide got 34 hit-outs, and they've been pretty strong in the hit-outs. But it was the clearances, 51 clearances overall, which is very, very, I don't know what the average is for the AFL, but it's pretty a standard number. Tackling, we'll get to marks. Adelaide and Sydney are not great at marking overall. They're under 100 marks. Adelaide have really mostly. And tackling, pretty even. So, 12 plus in front of the Crows. So, Adelaide have improved and shown why they're very, very good in pressure. And why they won the footy, because we knew that Sydney were never going to give up. But my players of the game, I'm not going to go into stat by stat, but Sydney's best. Look, Callum Mills, he's definitely up. Tom Puckley, He's definitely in the mix. It was really the second quarter got really dangerous. When he's dangerous on that left foot, he takes his opportunities. It's almost like anything but scary monster. And I'll give it to Bro Grundy. He may have a pretty quiet game. 48 hitouts is very, very good. Still, he's one of the best rucks, and I know him quite well. So well done to the Sydney's best there, in my opinion. There's some pretty tough ones, but Rain Miller, he's definitely my mix. I watched him all night. He started that first quarter in that defence, and he just worked his butt off. Yeah, Jordan Dawson, look, okay, he's not getting 30 disposals, but he's one of the best tackling teams. He gets 7 tackles almost every game. That's for a midfielder. He does his business like usual. Pretty hard to pick another player, but it's Darcy Fogarty. I could put him in the mix. There's breaking news there. I'm really upsetting there. But I'm going to get to Isaac Meakin. Yes, he has a very quiet game. In a way, not getting a lot of tackles or marking all that, but he worked his butt off in that midfield. He touched the foot and really worked hard. But my player of the game is Raymond Miller. Really is my best overall. Now, I don't think I showed Sydney's best. I'm terrible at memory. So I'm going to give it to Brodie Grundy. I think I did Brodie Grundy. Anyway, Aidan, your thoughts. Looking forward to it. Take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Sydney, I'm starting to get worried about Sydney because there's a lot of teams queuing up behind them. Now, 3 weeks ago, they were runaway second. And for them to now really just fall back into the pack is quite concerning. Hawthorn, because of the draw they had earlier in the year, only 2 points behind. Adelaide, 4 points. Brisbane, 4 points. I think the Cats are 4 points. So second is very much, again, unlocked and wide open for the taking. Now, if I'm sitting there, and okay, it's been against Fremantle, and that wasn't a very good second half. But then this here, playing against the Crows at home in the rain, wasn't good enough either. So now, you could be a second place side still, but you could also probably end up as a 5th or a 6th place side if you're not careful. So that's the main concern I have with Sydney, is they do play great football, but they're just having a rough patch at the moment where this is the time where we see these Sydney wobbles have happened in years previous, and they're happening again here. Now, the Crows keep getting better every week. The Crows as a football team, minor premiers last year, had a bad start to the season this year. Looked like it could have been dead and gone, but they came back strong after the bye. Then they've won since then. Now, for Adelaide, it's about their pressure and their contested ball. It's about when they get bodies on bodies, they win. You can't change that. That's what they do. Wet weather suits Adelaide, because in a low ball game, Adelaide's going to get their bodies over you, and they're going to put tackles on and keep the game slowing down and moving. And as soon as they get that release, they're gone. And that's what I don't think Sydney were able to figure out, is when they get stoppage after stoppage after stoppage, and then they just get one hit out to advantage, 10 seconds later, goal the Crows. And it's a formula that's worked the last 2 years. And it's going to keep working until teams can figure it out. And it's very hard to figure out because the Crows have a lot of great players in the midfield and those secondary midfielders, players that rotate through like Saligo and Malera and Peatling, on top of guys like Dawson as well. So, that's where they win their game, and they do it so well that it is very hard to stop. Now, players of the game in this one, again, just as like Ben did, I'm going to name my 3 best for each team. I'm going to start with the home team. So for Sydney, I have Callum Mills, Tom Papley, and Tom McCartan. For Adelaide, I have Wayne Malera, Jake Saligo, and Darcy Fogarty. And now we have our first game on Saturday afternoon football down at Adelaide Oval between Port Adelaide and Fremantle, the 2 Wolfie teams playing against each other. And I don't know why this hasn't become like a little cup or something for these 2. I really don't. The AFL can explain that one to me. But Port Adelaide, a team who are in the process of figuring out what their future looks like, versus a team who are in their here and now. Running away with the minor premiership are the Fremantle Dockers. Port Adelaide put up a great fight though. They only lose this game 75-103. So it's only a 28-point loss to a team who are, as I said, running away with the minor premiership. And we saw Fremantle last week when they put 11 points on in the first half against Sydney and then ran over them with 100 points in the second half. So Port Adelaide, 28-point loss to a team that are that good and that running away with the minor premiership. Don't worry, you know your direction. You've done well. Be proud of yourself. Fremantle. This team is one of the best teams in a singular season of the AFL, not just since the inception of the AFL, but since the inception of the VFL. And that year started with a 1-8-9 combination. So that's 120 odd years, 130 odd years of football, and this is one of the best teams in 130 years of Premier level Australian rules football. Now, I could go through all the names, but I think we know who we're talking about. The three-headed forward line of Amos, Tracy, and Voss. Luke Jackson, Murphy Reid, Shea Bolton. Here we go. I'm doing it anyway, just because I can. Mason Cobb, Brennan Cobb. Both of them had their 150th on Saturday. Both players, Cold Cox, unrelated. First time that's ever happened. You know, Alex Pearce is the captain as well, by the way. And Fast Freddy's out on the wide area. So Fremantle, they have all of these players who are capable of turning on the game when they need to. And they do it so well. And it's impressive because it's not stopped. They had one loss in round one. They had one loss a couple of weeks ago. Then the week after, they go and beat second by like 30 points on a 100-point half. They come to Adelaide and they beat Port by 28. Now, this is one of these times where Fremantle need to make sure that they don't lose this. We saw a team like this last year, the Adelaide Crows, so dominant in the minor rounds. Fremantle's even more dominant, but they got to the finals, lost, see you later. That's something that Fremantle will need to avoid come September, but we will worry about that then. Players of the game in this one, as always, we do the home team first. So for Port Adelaide, it's Joe Richards, Jace Burgoyne, and Ollie Wines. For Fremantle, it's Caleb Sarong, Andrew Brayshaw, and Michael Johnson.
Oh, thank you so much. And talent from Fremantle, you know, it starts slow. Now, I didn't actually watch this game because I was working partly of that, but credit to Port Adelaide. They came out. They've been in the top team to half time, but Fremantle being Fremantle. 6-1. That reminds me of the North Central's game. And then credit to Port Adelaide not letting them scored more than 30 points. 28-point victory to the Fremantle Dockers. You go to Adelaide. Port Adelaide can bring the pressure. They can bring the improved pressure week in, week out. They're going to do well. And that ticks off my box. But Fremantle too good. No, this is a lesson learned. You can't expect, yes, Port Adelaide starting well. They're not great at doing that. I think they're all right. I think Josh Carr is building his culture in a great direction since Kent Hinkley decided to step down from the role after an incredible roller coaster. I think this is impressive. The 10 stacks, I love doing 10 stacks at the moment and the mode. Pretty awesome effort, Port Adelaide, not even let them 400 plus there. Hitouts, 37-35, not best 2 rucks in the column. Adelaide got 34. So Port Adelaide won 3 plus in that hitouts. But it was the clearances. And 36 overall. Each. Wow. 2 worst teams in clearance and 300 on top. That's okay. When it's season's over, it doesn't matter. We come to the next part with his marking. Port got more of the marking, got more of the footy, marking the ball. They were very dangerous when they go dangerous inside 50. And then it was 58-67 in tackling, not best 2 tackling teams. So you want to work on pressure, bring the pressure. But you're going to get 36 clearances total overall. It's not great. If you hit under 70 tackles, there's a problem. So no one scored under 50 under in tackling so far. So making it short and sweet. Yep, same thing. I think Joe Richards is in the mix with Ollie Wines and Olea for Port Adelaide with the mighty Fremantle Dockers. It's coming strong. We're going to mix into Johnson, which is Mashy Johnson. going to say Michael Johnson, not the all day. And I'm going to mix it in. Well, I think it's pretty tough. I've done 2 players, but who could be my third? Who is my third Fremantle Dockers? It's very always hard, but I'm going to give it to Luke Ryan, but the player really dominated is Cullen Strong from the Fremantle Dockers, and for the Port Adelaide Power, Ollie Wines, very close, but I think Joe Richards, the former Conor Mackay, player, midfield defender, all over, hits my best player for the Port Adelaide. Heads up, Port Adelaide. Well done, Fremantle, on the win.
Second up on Saturday, we head to Marvel Stadium for North Melbourne and Melbourne. Now, both of these teams have been in and out of the wild card. Melbourne on the higher side of it, in and out of the 6. North Melbourne on the lower side of it, in and out of the bottom 8. As we go into this one, final score in this one as well was North Melbourne 11-10-76 to Melbourne 13-14-92. So Melbourne just showing their class in the second half, the later end of the second half there, defeating the team from across town in the Roos. Now, North Melbourne, they have a lot of players that show a lot of promise, but when things start to go wrong for a young team, things go wrong very hard and very quickly. But it's okay because you're going to learn from it. You're seeing it all this year. This is your free year, North Melbourne. This is an absolute demo year for you guys. We're seeing what you can do. You can see it for yourself. There is improvement there. You've got a free crack this year. Nobody cares what you do this year. Next year, though, you're going to get judged. And if you're putting on performances like this year, this is exactly what I expect from you. Because when you get judged next year, you're going to be able to look back at these. We're going to be able to look back at these and say, well, did you do better or worse to 19 games this year or last year? And you've actually got a record, a capable record to measure against. You've been improving slowly. This isn't just a random jump out of nowhere for North Melbourne, which is what I like about their build. It's slow, it's progressive, and it's random. Now, for Melbourne, the Demons, probably a team who people thought were not going to be in the mix this year, but they made some shrewd moves at the trade table end of last year, and their draft picks have come on strong and backed into that team. Still, a lot of their key players are there from previous years. Max Gawn's still there, and that pretty much covers about all of it for Melbourne. I think as long as they have Max Gawn fit, healthy, and available, and still playing at a high level, I think they're going to be okay for a little bit while longer before Max Gawn really starts to slow down. Some players who have really impressed me this year for Melbourne that have picked up: Thomas Barrow, Cozzy Pickett, even Latrell Pickett. Latrell Pickett's come into this team, and okay, he hasn't had to do the work of Cozzy Pickett because that's not what he's expected to do. But if he can get a couple of goals every game, then Latrell is definitely doing what he's required to do, and he's done that. And in a couple of years' time, you could have Melbourne winning a premiership with the 2 Pickett boys in the side. And that would be something that I would actually go to Melbourne and pay and see. Players of the game in this one for Melbourne. We're going to go for North Melbourne. We do the home teams first on this show. North Melbourne, Harry Sheasel, Cooper Harvey, and Jai Simpkin. For Melbourne, Tom Sparrow, Cozzy Pickett, and Jake Bowie.
Thank you, Aidan, with that great notification with North Melbourne, and I'll share my thoughts. So, yeah, absolutely. I really think that North Melbourne have improved, and, the lucky season or the draft season or how you can see it overall for North Melbourne season, like, get around your team, you get more games you perform well, you are going to come out and perform well. And, hey, the only margin, it was 16 points. So the margin is, and they're kicking accuracy. You have seen showing what North Melbourne can do. Now, a 76-92, not like Melbourne Demons, I'll share them in a moment, didn't score 100 points against. So that's a tick off. Melbourne, good win, well done on that. So how it all started in the mix is North Melbourne get 6 goals to 4. It was 1 goal to 2. So it was the second half. It was basically 4 goals to 1, saying like the second quarter. Then it was 3 goals each. So Melbourne found it struggled during the third quarter, and North Melbourne just came out of the blocks and took almost the win there, but it was Melbourne a bit too strong. So the team stacks just making it all nice and short, like under 400, pretty even there. Head out, Melbourne, of course, winning that. Clearances, game, very, very even there. Tackling, we'll get there soon. Wow. I never seen two teams scored marking 100 plus, 107 to 103. So lots of marking this game, but it was 48 to 39 in the tackle. So how can I improve to see a Melbourne team to get better week in, week out? Of course, now I didn't see them in my top 10 at all. I definitely saw North Melbourne improvements, and I've seen that. So heads up, North Melbourne. We got a few more games to share. Now it. Come back stronger next year. Melbourne with a game well done with the win. My players are going for North Melbourne. House of Sicily, J.K. Simply. And I'm going to get to Karen Daniel with Melbourne. Tom Spratsbro, Christian Pickett, and pretty hard to pick my third. Trent Withers with my third player of the game. And that is it for our second Super Saturday football. Let's get to our Super Saturday double. MCG, Collingwood and Carlton, then followed with West Coast and Brisbane Lions. So there's so much about Super Saturday 40 minutes. I think it's very super. We got the two all-vitals. 80 plus thousand, or maybe even 85. I saw her over the radio and all the above. Collingwood and Carlton. Now, this was a Collingwood home game. It's never home games at the MCG when they out more than the other. These two rivals hate each other. It is the best VFL football. It's AFL we're talking about, but this rival is made one of the best ones in Victoria. It's like the showdown in Adelaide. We got the waffle show. I should know what Derby in Perth, and that's really all. And then you've got the two clashes, not that great. It's not very high, but you're going to verse two old rivals. This is the best. You're going to get a good crowd, no matter on the ladder. The final score overall was only 21 points. Carlton, yes, they lost, but it was improvement. Collingwood, a win. They got experience. With Josh Fraser, interesting wearing the Carlton top. As guess he's a coach, but he used to play for this team of Collingwood. He was a very, very good player back in his day. He was a friendship as well player. Hopefully he did that in his career, even though he made so many grand finals. But it was 14-6-90 to 10-9-69. How will this happen? Wow. It was very much even up to half time, and it was basically Collingwood just took apart 6 goals to 4, then 3 goals to 2. So the overall, Carlton were in the game. That's a tick-off, I can say, any time. The 10 stacks were making this nice and short. I am making this nice and short. I know Aidan is looking forward to sharing his thoughts of this game, but really, there's not a lot of teams who really can hit over 400 disposals a game. Whoa, this is why Carlton not very good in that. 49-18. With the clearances, 2 plus, Collingwood are not great in that. So, interesting that Collingwood have a lot more, but marking very strong to Carlton. So, and then tackling, well, obviously Collingwood should dominate that pressure, but we come to our players of games, and I can't say too much, like, I can't say too much for who Collingwood play against on Thursday night. I think if you're listening right now, you know exactly what I mean. So, we'll go to Collingwood's best, and then Houston, he dominated. Darcy Cameron. Now, could I put Jordan Tuglucci or Nick Datos? That's a pretty tough call overall, or even James Chris. But I think Jordan Tuglucci, yes, interesting to know, yes, Nick Datos get 36 disposals, but it's the way he uses the footy. He doesn't really tackle a lot. And then for Carlton's best, Patrick Cripps, Sam Walsh, and I'm going to give it to the last and most important. It is, I've got this correct, Nick Newman. So well done, Collingwood, and heads up, Carlton. Aidan, over to you.
Yeah, so Saturday night, MCG football, Collingwood winning this one by 21, 14-6-90, 10-9-69 over the old rivals in Carlton. Now, Collingwood, there's, much like the Crows, they're a team who, they've finally found their form. They're finally on it. they've come out of the woodwork a bit. They've jumped into the wild card. They're only 6 points, so a game and a half out of the top 6. I think that draw might come back to get them at the end of the season and might just force them into the wild card. But they are good enough to get on a roll as they are and get into the top 6. They played great football. They played great football again against the Blues, and they're a team who, when you watch them play, there's an air of classicness about them. There's none of this, modern style of football. There's a lot of old school bodies in there. Even the Dacos boys are a bit old school. Then you've got guys like Membry and Pendlebury and Sidebottom and Long, and so on and on and on it goes, just like I said with Fremantle. But they play modern football in an old school way, and that's what's getting them over the line is, they've got talent in the midfield. They know they have talent in the midfield, and as long as they're winning the midfield, and the Dacos boys, Nick Dacos especially, knows what he has to do with it, and then you got all the other guys around him. So Collingwood, another week and another win for you, Carl. 5 weeks ago, you were just starting to rebuild. 2 weeks ago, you hit the peak. A week ago, you got a downpour, not just in the weather, but on the scoreboard from Hawthorn. And now, in this one, you lose to your rival in Collingwood. Now, it wasn't a horrible loss, but it's the kind of loss that I think may have put more question marks than exclamation points on your season. Because a couple of weeks ago, we were saying, get this Carlton team in the 10, put them in the 10, see how they go. Now we're saying, do they even make the 10? Do we think they're even good enough to make the 10? I think that they might be good enough to make the 10. They have to believe that they're good enough to make the 10, and that's the difference. I can stand here in my shed talking about how good they are and that I think they're good enough, but they have to have the belief. They've seen what life is like under Josh Fraser when they're winning. They've now seen what life is like under Josh Fraser when they're losing. So for Carlton, it's about rebuilding, repurposing, and coming back out and saying, you know what? We are good enough to be in the 10. We're better than St Kilda. We're better than Geelong at our best. We're better than Western Bulldogs. We're better than even the teams who aren't in the 10. We're better than North Melbourne. We're better than GWS. We're better than Gold Coast. They've got a chance to prove that next week, actually, but this is going to be the big step for them. If they can get over Gold Coast next week, good on you. If you don't, you're done. Players of the game. Home team first. So, Pies home game. We're going to go with Nick Dacos. We're going to go with Dan Houston. And we're going to go with Ned Long. For Carlton, we're going to go Patrick Cripps, Sam Walsh, and moves like Jagger Smith.
All right, interesting. Good facts there. But we are in the second Saturday night football. We are in Perth. We're at Optus Stadium. It is the West Coast hosting the Brain 20s Brisbane Lions. How can I word this start? Slow Brisbane. The Lions were flat in the first quarter, but Chris Fagan has found ways to win games, and he's back in action. We had the same score, 10-9-69. They were West Coast. Brisbane, 13-15-93. They love points and goals. But it's not like it's crazy bad kicking. So, how did this all happen? It was, you're leading the way 5-2, then you get struggled after quarter time. It was 4 goals, 5-9 goals, 6. So when you get smashed everywhere, and I'm going to share those stats in the chat, I don't know what happened, but I'm really thinking it was a good win to the Brisbane Lions coming on the road. You go to Perth, flat start, take on the road, get the W by 24 points. Now, Brisbane has struggled time to time this season, and we have seen it. I've seen it. West Coast is improved. They have shown that ball pressure. Doesn't matter if you don't win all these games, but you have won some games, and you have proven that early in the season. But this is the time of the year to get back together and believe in each other. You get a good 35, 40,000, that's still damn good effort, even 45. And when they were struggling, they never, ever let their team disappear. Brisbane, big road win, 4 goals, 3.5 goals. big win there, I'm going to say, from that. But how much is important for Brisbane? Now, round 20, that's going to be a quite interesting game. They take on Port Adelaide. That, you've got to be on your best. You've got to be in early. They start all right. Then after that, we'll share those two next game. Then Carlton at Marble Stadium. And I think that's a standalone game. No, it's a doubleheader. But back to this game right here on a Saturday night in Perth. The team stacks well again. Well done to West Coast. A little bit effort, not in 400 disposals. Hit out. Brisbane are not great in hit outs, but West Coast dominating in the clearances. So keep it from that. Then there was marks very comfortably there, and then we have tackles. Pretty good effort to West Coast. 69 tackles to 56. So pressure's up there for West Coast. They've shown that they want to be better each quarter, and again that proof. Showing up with my play of the game, a top 3 best players. We have a player who can really dominate. BJ Williams, the big ruck from West Coast. Lots of talks about him. Tim Kelly and William Desmar. Well done. Keep improving, mate. We have the Brisbane Lions. There's so much to choose from. Josh Dunkley is my best player by far. We got Carlen Men from the Brisbane Lions, and a pretty tough decision, but I'm going to have to go to Zach Bailey. Here are my 3 best players. So well done to Brisbane. Big win there. Wins the win. West Coast heads up. All the best next week. All right, on to your thoughts, Aidan, between the West Coast and Brisbane Lions.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ben. Now, this one I want to just start with, West Coast. They come out, they played a really, really good first quarter. They end that first quarter 5-2 to 2-5, and they were playing above their level. They were absolutely playing above their level. And these are the moments where, as I said with North Melbourne, as I've said with Richmond, as I've said with Essendon, as I've said with these bottom 4 teams, that these are the moments that you build up over a couple of years. Had a really good first quarter, did half your damage in the first quarter, kicked another 5 the rest of the game. Brisbane, a very Brisbane game, slowly ease their way into it. Just open the door, have a peek inside, see what's going on, and once you see what you like, you go. That's the Brisbane that we all know and love under Chris Fagan, is that they do accept sitting back. They do accept that, other teams might score on them. But once they figure it out, once the magnets are in the right position, it's game over for most teams. Now, they only win this game by 4 goals. 4 goals against West Coast in Perth. Now, if it was done on favour and merit, the merit would probably go to West Coast. Unfortunately, we have a point system. And the point system says Brisbane won the day. So, you can be the better team or you can be the more impressive team, but still not get it over the line. And I mean, it's okay because West Coast are young, they're learning, they're developing. Brisbane need more premiership points because they're right in the mix again to go back to back to back. And I don't think there's many teams who can stop them from getting at least to a preliminary final, because the Brisbane Lions are the standard of the AFL for the last, even, before when they were in the mix and losing premierships, they were already there. We knew what they were about, and they're still there. So they have something more to get out of these games on terms of a winning standpoint, terms of a later standpoint than a team like West Coast. And I think sometimes, these teams, as I've said, these teams down the bottom, it's about just finding stuff to put up on the big screen in the club rooms on Monday. So look at what we do when we play well. Look at what we can be when we play well. Every club goes through that. Brisbane went through that. Now look where they are. So for West Coast, the standard's right over there. You know what it is now. You've played against it. You've kept it tight against it. You just got to get over it now. And that's not as hard as it seems. So well done to you, West Coast. As I said, if it was a merit-based system, you win. But points matter. And it goes to the Brisbane Lions. My players of the game for West Coast: Bailey J. Williams, Liam Duggan, and William Dersma. For West Coast, let's try this again. For West Coast, Liam Duggan, Bailey J. Williams, and William Dersma. For Brisbane, Kai Lohman, Zach Bailey, and Will Ashcroft. We have arrived at Sunday. We have arrived back at the CG for the Richmond Tigers and the Hawthorn Hawks. Richmond 6-16, 52. Hawthorn 18-14, 122. This is a golf in class game. This is a game that I don't want to really linger on for too long. I think Richmond know that they were playing an uphill battle, and I think Hawthorn knew they were the better side on the day, and the better side on the day won. That's really all it comes down to. Richmond, that 6-16, they started the first quarter, 0-5, really got away with them by halftime, 2-6 to 12-9 by halftime. So, and then they do have a better second half. It's the start. It's the start. It's staying in the game for that first quarter so you have a little bit of tape that when the game is there to be run and the other team hasn't flown off, that you can look at when the game is on the line, look what we can do. Now, I know Richmond have had it high. They've got a lot of players. A lot of their young players have been injured this year. But that's football, so you've got to find a way to mitigate that. Maybe slow your game down, try a different game plan. But it's, not something that we want to see too often from these young sides, these developing sides, that they come out and they look, it's okay to lose. And it's okay to lose to a better team by a lot. And they did a really good job. But when the game was there to start, I would rather have a team who starts well and maybe loses the game in patches than a team who doesn't start well and it's over by the time you get back into the locker room at halftime. Hawthorn doing as they do. The Hawks are hungry. We've all played hungry hippos, right? Well, this is the hungry Hawks. They are wanting a premiership. They are getting closer and closer and closer every year. And it's just, for them, hoping that they get a good run of injuries and availability come the back end of the year. Now, wins like this, you get the 4 points. You get the percentage boost. We know what you're all about, Hawthorn. So now when you go into this second end of the year, towards the end, you got the last sort of 5 weeks of the season, then you got the finals. So when you get into this bit of the season, you're chasing second now. You're only 2 points behind second as well, by the way. This is when all of this has to matter. Because, okay, you're not going to be playing Richmond every week, but being able to control games and dominate territory is your key to victory. When they played Adelaide in the semi-final last year, hot start, won the game. Didn't have a great start in the prelim. So for Hawthorn, it's getting those early starts that they need. My players of the game now. Richmond are the home team. So it's going to be Tim Taranto, Patrick Vrechko, and Dion Prestia for Richmond. For Hawthorn, Jarman MP, Connor McDonald, and Dylan Moore.
Yes, welcome to Sunday afternoon football. Not the great crowd at the MCG. We're not going to expect that from Richmond. Rebuilding is a rebuilding in so many levels. You got 6-16. You don't have a very good full coach. Let's just keep as that. Hawthorn just took a very big win, 70 points. This is what you're going to do. Richmond can learn these games. But I tell you right now that, yes, 5-. It's not great. If they've got a couple goals, they'll be in the game. You've got to be in the contest. The only important thing is, don't worry about these times now. Within the next few seasons, they're going to start looking very dangerous. And I'll have 100% all that when that time comes. But Hawthorn big wins. You're going to start well. You cannot be a slow start team. I prefer that to happen because, believe me, when finals come, you can't be on your backside. No one will take it lightly. But enjoy it while it lasts. So, I know I'm talking too slow, but Hawthorn tackles on Essendon. That'll be a great game. Try like football. Richmond and the Dogs. So, both playing Saturday night football, Saturday afternoon football. Both in Melbourne. And both, one's a home game and one's a away game over in the cross town in Marble Stadium. So, how does it all happen to the very start of this game? Hawthorn kicked 5 goals, 7 goals, 4-2. Went down. It was 2 goals after quarter time, 1 goal, 3 goals. But it's all from quarter time. It was 6 goals, 11 overall. So there is a missing communication in back kicking, back scoring. They are not the greatest goal kicking Richmond. We've seen that this year. They're the worst. Even for set shots, they can't miss straight. But that's okay. Week in, week out, look what you can do. Hawthorn, just keep on with your best performance. And I'm going to skip the team stacks this time. I think we know that Richmond can bring the pressure, but Tim Toretto from their first run. We have Toby Nukovis and Sepp coming, if I got that. Sam coming, I apologise, from Richmond. Hawthorn, well, we got Jarman Plinking, if I've got that correct, I apologise. Cam McDonald is my second best, and I'm going to give it to Loy Mink from Hawthorn as well. Well done to the Hawks. Heads up Richmond, all the best. Next week, we're back at People's First Stadium between the Gold Coast Suns and the Western Bulldogs for Sunday afternoon ticket football, however you want to word it. Gold Coast, better performance, not with the win. This was about better performance. Dogs big win, woof woof to you. 9-14-68 defeated. Whoa, 11-11-77 to the Dogs, defeated to the Gold Coast Suns. Where are the Gold Coast Suns at this time from last season? They are not the Gold Coast Suns. Anyone has seen it. I put them in my top 4. I think Aidan's second the same. He will share his thoughts in a moment. How can you start slow, 5-3 in, then this is how you lost. 4 minus to the actual 5-3. This is not exceptions. 3 goals, 8. They lost the game. And that's how painful that Dane Hardwick is questioned, and he knows the pressure as being absolutely a coach. He's got the talent, he's lost some talent players, that's football. But when you bring a player named Ben King, he does not want to be there. I don't think Ben King doesn't want to be there, but that doesn't matter. You've got to keep forward. Well, he has improved. He has shown that. Now, I haven't seen his brother, Max King, at St Kilda. Now, if Max King was playing at St Kilda looked very dangerous. I think he's injured. I'm not sure what's that front. But the Dogs' big win. I said it maybe other times. It's whenever that the Western Bulldogs feel like winning, they will take the win. And they take the big win here, 9 points on the Gold Coast. Now, they're having not as a hard at staying. They've gone back to where they were before. And I just feel like, why have Gold Coast in the AFL? They're not going to improve. They've got the talent. They've got some great players. It's not all over. They're signed Christian Petrarca to make it better. And they have not shown that. Whenever he feels like playing well, Gold Coast win. Big difference there. But we come to the team stacks. Richmond and the Hawks. I really like to share your team stacks, but I don't think it really matters in a big way. With the disposal stats, it was 98 plus Gold Coast. So Gold Coast had more the footy, the hit-outs, the clearances, and let's say marking. We have tackling. You won the footy. And that's how the third quarter actually cost you the game. So 8 points, a 9-point victory to the Dogs. That's pretty impressive to win stacks, and then you can't win it on the scoreboard. That's scoreboard pressure. The players of the game making this all short and slip. We have the Gold Coast Suns. Matt Wow, back in form. 11 tackles, the best player for the round. We have Todd Miller. And I'm going to finish up with a pretty tough player. His name is Boo Hyde Wineland as the Gold Coast Suns best players. We have the Dogs best players, which I have no idea what's happening on my screen. So I'll get that in just a moment. We have Bailey Williams, if I got that correct, from the Western Bulldogs. We got the Bonts in my mix, and I'm going to finish into, I reckon, pretty tough Tim English. All right, that's my thoughts. Aidan, over to you.
All right. The Gold Coast Suns. It's all gone so wrong. So wrong for the Gold Coast Suns. Since the Gold Coast Suns last won a game of football, we've had the New York Knicks win an NBA championship, for the Carolina Hurricanes win a NHL championship, and we've had a whole FIFA World Cup tournament. It's been 8 weeks for Gold Coast. 8 weeks since the Gold Coast Suns won. Yes, 1-1. That is a great way of putting it. 1-1, one game of football. And, this is a team that was so good in the first 10 round. And now it's just gone to muck. I was very excited for Gold Coast this year because you brought in Christian Petracca. You still had Noah Anderson, you still had Matt Rao, and you bring in Christian Petracca. Now, only one of those three men has a Brownlow, but that is a Brownlow medal level midfield. And no one else is going with it. No one else is carrying the load for Gold Coast. John Noble's been really good for Gold Coast, but aside from John Noble, and I mean, Teague Miller's doing his bit, but he's been around forever as well. So, apart from a couple of names, no one's going with it. There's no direction. There's no reset button. You've got to hit the red button some point. 8 weeks of not winning when you are right in the mix right now. It is not good enough. And you had this opportunity at home to hit that reset button and you threw it away in the third quarter to the Western Bulldogs, kicking 4 points to 5 goals. You came back in the last, but it just wasn't enough. Sometimes I wonder about you, Gold Coast. Sometimes I really, really wonder. As for the Western Bulldogs, they get the win. They do what they need to do. They do what they need to in a low-scoring, momentum-swinging, really convoluted game where whoever had the ball was going to score and there was nothing you could really do to stop them unless you got the ball. But that's how it was. The Bulldogs, they win this game 68-77, and, it's going to be one of these seasons again for the Dogs, I think, of can they just keep winning enough to survive? Because if they can keep winning enough to survive and get into 10, well, here we go again. They won a premiership from 7th 10 years ago. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Western Bulldogs finished inside the wild card and went on to win a premiership. They're the kind of team who would do something like that. But because much like Melbourne, as long as they've got their guys, as long as they've got Marcus Bontempelli available to them, they are very, very dangerous. Sometimes I think that the rest of the team might not come with, but when everyone does, you get great runs of football. And the Western Bulldogs are one of the better teams in the competition when they start to get on a roll. Because they've been around each other for so long, they know what they're going to do, they've got the same coach, and the system runs as planned. This is a learning opportunity for Gold Coast. Back in, now, either make a choice. Out or in Damien Hardwick, and if you're not backing him in, back in the next guy. Because something has to change, and it's got to start with the coach staying through the hard times as well. Players of the game. Players of the game for Gold Coast are Teague Miller, Matt Rao, and John Noble. Players of the game for Western Bulldogs, Marcus Bontempelli, Tim English, and Matt Kennedy.
Welcome to the final game. And my goodness, I got 8 out of 8. Do we have 9 out of 9? I'm pushing my guts. No one saw this coming. We're back, return at Marble Stadium. Low crowd we're going to expect for Essendon the home game. The host, the GWS. Adam Kingsley, stop kicking point and kick straight. You're better than this. The Giants overall. Yes. Toby Green, he's out. And how you lost by 3 points. You fight hard, but not enough. The Essendon faithful. You can't expect one game to cheer. You do it every week. At home, especially your home games. You've got a small crowd. It's loud. Now, 10, 7, 6, 7, 8, 16, 64. I mentioned those. Bad kicking. 16 behinds for the Giants. And Essendon got 7 behinds. This game was absolutely a crazy, no one even expect. Now, if I was crazy to tip Essendon, I got 9 out of 9. I got friends, I got family, all going for this football club. And they were earned win. 3 points, 1 point is a win. Or even 99. Bears on the wall. But Essendon, enjoy it. This could be your last win for season 2026. I'm not expecting much for it. If you can bring this pressure in minutes, 3 games, 4 games, you might lose by 30 points. You might lose by 2 points. But bring that pressure. This is, I don't know what else to say. I'm actually quite happy with this win, but I am shocked with I got 8 out of 9. I'm really, really not happy. But overall, Essendon want this because the supporters brought the voice. Essendon players go around each other. Smack their butt. Well done. Next possession. Have fun out there. Giants is like boys and not have fun. It's like boys want to have fun. But you know the some girls like to have fun. But this is about boys having fun and Essendon turn it up. Well win. Giants, you need a stump because I don't know what happened was not when you had your best player on the sideline. You can't win. You can't lie on Toby Green with his shot like he plays his best football. You can't do that. He's injured. What are you going to do? You know, you're taking on the bottom team. Essendon wants that one spoon, but now they may not get in there. Richmond now got it. I can't wait for those two, if they do beat each other, in the next couple of rounds. So, look, I can't say too much about team stacks. I'm going to skip that. But, you know, I ain't going to give it to so much to Zach Merritt. You know, he's a player that he does not want to be at this club, but he's dominating. Here we have Dyson Snap. And I don't say this much to this fella. He's had a pretty good game, which is Mason Redman. I'm pretty sure I got wrong, but he's with Adelaide. Boy, man, however you want to word it. The Giants, point of view. Nothing else but Lockie or Lachlan Ash. Yeah, Lockie Ash. We have another Lockie. His name is Wakeford. He is my second best. And I'm going to have to give it this pretty. I cried down at the office. He can't go and versus his former club and lose. And it happens. But I'm going to give it to Finn Cunningham. You're my third best. So, I don't know what's going to happen for the Giants. They take on their rivals on a twilight afternoon football on Saturday. And the Mighty Bombers, they challenge you can bring that pressure against the Hawks at the MCG. Well, Essendon supporters, get around this team. Get around them hard. It's going to be a good game. Essendon, well done on the win. Giants, find your way back home because Sydney are bouncing back next week. Aidan, over to you.
My God. This game was something else, you know. Essendon and GWS. I think Ben's more upset that he got his tips wrong. I really do. He wanted that 9, and you ruined it, Essendon. Well done. No, seriously, Essendon. 10-7-67 beats 8-16-64. Doesn't matter who you're playing. Let's get rid of GWS. This could be any random team. Could be an amateur team. Could be a sample team. A VFL team. Doesn't matter who they are. That is not good enough to win. That is not good enough. 24 scoring shot to 17. And you had one behind less than the other team's total scoring shots. One of your players kicked 7 points. That's 7 1s, 0 6s. Now, if it was a lot of other sports, we'd take a lot of ones. If this was soccer, well done, mate, you got 7 goals. Well done. But it's not. It's the AFL. You've got to score in 6s. Kind of a bit like cricket, really. That you really want to go after the 6s. If you think about it, it's kind of a trend in Australian sport. The number 6 in Australian sport, I could do a whole podcast on that. But let's focus on the footy. This is one of the biggest wins I've seen in football. I mean, Essendon absolutely deserve this. They've been through, you know, everything the last couple of years. Up and down and down and down and down and down even further. And if you don't think you can go down any further, they'll find a way. But on Sunday evening, they won. They beat a team who they played to, and they, even with all the opportunities their opponent had, they couldn't take it. Essendon won a game of football, but it's bigger than that. When you're one of these bottom-end teams, every win is magnified. Every win is so much more than just a win. You see the difference between, you know, Freo or the Crows winning against whoever. It's just, yep, well done, thank you, we'll see you later. Essendon win, and you'd think they'd won the grand final. You really would. And I can't be happier for them. You know, they're a club that's had a bit of a checkered history of recent, but, you know, hopefully this is slightly improved for Essendon football. Players of the game. I am going to go for the Bombers, Nick Bryan, Archie Roberts, and Jacob Pryor and GWS, I'm just not going to name anyone because that's not good enough. None of you deserve it. See you later. Let's jump now into round 20. We are into the final stretch. After this week, when you look on the app, there will not be 5 teams lined up. There will be blank spaces beginning to form. We're getting down to finals footy in the AFL. And we start round 20 with Adelaide and Collingwood. Adelaide at home are looking very, very good. I'm going to take the Crows. It's a Thursday night game, so I'll give a points margin. I'll give a points margin of 22. Adelaide at home to win by 22. Then we have 2 on the Friday. We start with Melbourne and Geelong at the MCG. This one's a real close one, but I don't think Geelong have the bodies for it, so I'm going to take Melbourne. In the Friday doubleheader, we have the Western Derby between Fremantle and West Coast. And as West Coast can put on a performance like that against Brisbane and sustain it, they could be in with a chance, but Fremantle should still cover that there. Jumping into Saturday, as I said, we start with Carlton and Gold Coast from Melbourne. This is an interesting one. 2 teams who need to get a win under their belts. Someone will get a win. I am going to take, you know what, I'm going to take the Suns in this one because Carlton have lost Harry Mackay, so I'm going to take the Suns. Then we come to the MCG for Hawthorn and Essendon. Essendon coming off that huge win and Hawthorn coming off a big win in points. I think Hawthorn are going to be good enough to get this one in the bag. Saturday twilight, we have the Battle of the Bridge in Sydney, GWS and the Swans. The Swans are just too good for GWS right now. If we're basing it on recent performances, I think this game gets thrown in the bin and no one wins. But we have to have a winner and it will be Sydney. Then in the night slot on Saturday, a standalone Saturday night game between the Western Bulldogs and Richmond. I think the Doggies class is just too much for the Tigers, so I take the Doggies there. Then we come down to Sunday, Brisbane and the Power from the Gabba. Brisbane will be too good for Port Adelaide. And then the last game of the round is one that I'm very, very interested in between North and St Kilda, and this one is a real toss-up. At Marvel Stadium, I think the advantage there is even as well. I'm also going to take an outsider's chance here and take the Kangas.
Love your thoughts there, Aidan, from round 20. And we got some really tough runs. We got some hot football on going to the Adelaide and Collingwood game. Should be sold out, should be loud, should be brutal, should be a victory. Adelaide in a close 20 points. We got double header, still not found them, but that's okay. We got the Melbourne Demons and Geelong Cats. Look, big wins here for both teams. Look, it's going to be tough. It's going to be close. I'm going to say this as well, Melbourne. Yeah, I think they're going to be the talent on in front of their win in blue. The next one is the Western Derbies, and this is going to be interesting one overall. Is West Coast can start well and be in the contest, but Fremantle which is strong. I'm going with Fremantle there. Now, this is going to be interesting. Carlton, they need to get their shots together. They're right in the mix for the finals. Do they have the wildcard magic? Now, yes, Harry Mackay. No, Harry Mackay in that key forward. Gold Coast. Yep, Gold Coast for me. Hawthorn and Essendon. Look, Essendon can bring that pressure on Twilight Football at MCG. They really will have a good effort there, but I think Hawthorn are too strong overall. We've got the Bound the Bridge. We've got the Bridges over there. We're going to Western Sydney at ENGIE Stadium, where the Giants host the Swans in this mother Battle of the Bridge. Sydney for me, and that's a little bit too much talent there. We've got Cecily standalone back to Marble Stadium. Well, the Wolf gets the Tigers. Tigers, look, if they can kick straight, you can be in the contest. Dogs too strong on Saturday night football. And the last 2 games, if Port Adelaide can bring that good start, then they'll be in the chance where I think Brisbane are a little too strong in front of their Brisbane Lions. Take me home to Country Cameron Road. And we've got the last one, the Roos and the Saints. Can the Saints go marching in to get the victory? Or the old Kangaroos get another W? I can show that I ain't going to go. Bit tough one, but I'm going to say Kilda. I feel they're going to be a bit too strong, but I think it's going to be the game of the round, the game of the what overall. So, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that. It's time to share. We've been talking about that World Cup news in the last 8 weeks of no wins. It's 2 months worth of games. Let's now share who won 2026 FIFA World Cup and Aidan. My friend, he's going to share that.
2026 World Cup North America final was played over the last weekend. Your winners and your new world champions, Spain, beating defending champions Argentina 1-0 in the tournament final. Could have been a lot worse for the Argentinians. Spain, 11 shots on goal to 0 for Argentina. And Emilio Martinez keeping Argentina in the game most of the way through this game. And then Ferran Torres with the deciding goal, the 116th minute of the contest to see Spain over the line. See Spain over the line in the World Cup final. Now, Spain's path to the final was an interesting one, to say the least. They played a group consisting of Cape Verde, Uruguay, and Saudi Arabia, having a draw with Cape Verde and victories over Uruguay and Saudi Arabia. They then beat Austria 3-0 in the round of 32. Played a 1-0 win over Portugal in the round of 16, a 2-1 win over Belgium in the quarterfinals. Then they beat France in the semi-finals before finishing it off with Argentina in the final. Only one goal conceded for the whole tournament. That was in that quarterfinal against Belgium where they won 2-1. You know, this is a team who was stacked top to bottom with young talent and seasoned heads. Rodri, Ferran Torres, Pau Cabrasi, Lamine Yamal. It goes on and on and on for Spain. Unai Simon in goal. And that's just their top line. They've got even their depth was so good as well. Argentina, as I said, runners-up. England, the third-place team. France losing the third-place playoffs. So that was the top end of the bracket for Australia and the Socceroos. Australia finished ranked 22nd in the tournament final standings. Australia had that win over Turkey in our first game, lost to America, drew with Paraguay, made the round of 32, played Egypt, and then went 1-1 after extra time onto a penalty defeat against the Egyptians. So well done to Spain on winning the World Cup. This is probably the last time we're going to see a lot of the big names of the tournament like Messi, Ronaldo, Luka Modric. So this was sort of a end of a generation tournament for a lot of big names from the 2010s. So we go on to 2030 now, where the defending champions will be a co-host of World Cup Iberian Peninsula that is hosted in Spain, Portugal and Morocco, with ceremonial opening games to celebrate 100 years of the World Cup to be held in Uruguay, Paraguay and Argentina. And that is all we've got for the World Cup for now, and we will see it again in 4 years. The Australians are playing again. We have the AFC Cup early in 2027, so that's the next major tournament for the Socceroos. Euros and CONMEBOL Super Copa 2 years from now. African Cup of Nations happens all the time. So there's a lot of football to watch in the meantime, but 4 years for the World Cup, and let's see if Spain can defend their title.
Alright, that is the wrap. We are done. Oh my God. We had the sample South Australian National Football League. That was nice and short. We had a big bundle of the AFL round 19, round 20. Oh boy, if I was feeling right around the corner. We've also had mixed into some quotes related to Spain. Oh, what a tournament for the Socceroos. Best 22 in the rankings. Pretty good effort. But I wish it was in the top 10. But it doesn't matter. Spain, well done being the hosts in the next tournament. We'll see you there. All right, that's all, folks. Thanks, Aidan, once again. This is signing out, and see you next time. Bye for now. Peace.